So now we've got well-balanced, phase-coherent, color-coded guitar tracks. It means we can start doing like the corrective EQ. I like to start with a bit of notching and a bit of filtering. So we're getting rid of any low-end rumble we don't need, any like top-end fizz, amp hiss that we don't need, and then any harsh frequencies that like my ears might get used to by going through the mixing process. I want to get them out quite early on. So let's try the super fizzy guitars that happen in the chorus. Lead guitar, synth, L&R. So the left and right, there's 3 mics on each guitar, and there's 2 parts, hard pan left and right, and they're going into one track stack, so I can use one EQ on them. Let's try that now. I'm just going to use Pro Q because I'm used to it, and you'll see when it opens up, I've already got it set up for all the things that I commonly use it for. So let's just have a listen and try doing some filtering. Before, after, before, after. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of a gain bump there, but mostly what we're doing is we're getting rid of stuff we don't need and highlighting the top and bottom end of the frequency spectrum, which helps the guitar sound bigger. Cool, so with all speaker cabinets and distorted tones, you're going to get some kind of like amp hiss, some kind of noise. And sometimes, not always, that can actually distract from the notes and the part that's being played. So let's have a cheeky scout around for that. So you can hear there that that hiss is constant. It doesn't go away. It's always there, and it's got no information about the guitar part in it. It's purely just distortion and amp hiss. If we take a few dB out of that with a narrow cut, does it make the part clearer? That's the question, I guess. So that's a subtle change, but you can actually hear what the guitarist is playing clearer now. And I think that's really, really important. I think that's a really, really good way of making it so that the clarity of the guitar parts comes through and you get to keep some of the attitude. You'll notice I'm only ducking that by like 4 dB. I'm not cutting it out completely. I'm not doing a super notch. It's just a few dB. Before, after, before, after. Loads clearer. Let's see if there's any other like gnarly hiss, twangy stuff in there. So there, what I'm doing is I'm playing it and I found something I don't like and I'm just listening to the whole part. I'm making sure that hiss doesn't come and go because I don't want to kill it if it's an important part of the tone. But if it's just there constantly and it's got no information about what the guitarist is playing, what's the point in having it? Great, so that's super, super subtle. Again, only taking a couple of dB out. So I'm going to highlight both of these and let's A and B both of those notches and just listen to the actual guitar part. Don't listen for the hiss, just listen to what the guitarist is playing and see if it sounds better. Before, after, before, after. So yeah, it kind of actually makes it a little bit more polite. It still sounds pretty heavy and distorted, the guitar part, right? But I can actually hear like the chords and what the guitarist is playing more, which for me is super important. Let's A B all of those changes to the whole EQ on and off. Before, after, before, After. Sounds better, sounds more aggressive, the part sounds clearer, and it just sounds a little bit wider and more upfront almost. Maybe that's just like my confirmation bias, but yeah, I think that sounds really, really good. Let's see if we can hear those changes in the mix with everything playing. That's how I would be doing these EQ moves whilst listening to everything, or at least like the guitars, the bass and the drums. But obviously when you're making YouTube videos, you have to make it super clear and easy for people to hear things, because you want people to learn before. Yeah, that is pretty difficult to hear. So let's take just the drums before. After. Let's quickly do filtering and notching on one more set of guitars. Let's have a go at these rhythm guitars. Before. After. Yeah, it just sounds a little bit more focused. That's great. Now I'd go through and do this to the rest of the guitar parts, just making small changes to help bring the parts to life, not really worrying too much about getting it perfect, just small little changes before carrying on with the mix.